Senators, the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Over the last year, I got hooked on Ancestry.com. I've been sort of poking around, trying to figure out where I came from. And it was interesting. I found out that one of my great-grandfathers, about 13 generations ago, I think was a former governor of Virginia, one of the first governors here in the early 1600s. And but on my father's side of the family, my father's family came from Eastern Europe. They're Jews from Eastern Europe, and it only goes but so far back. And my grandfather Sam, he came over to the United States. I found out on February the 5th, 1912, on a ship called the Kursk from Libau, which is a port in Lithuania. He came over when he was, I think, 10 months old, with his mother. My great-grandfather had already gotten over here. He was a night watchman at construction projects in Manhattan. And shortly after that, my other great-grandparents, the Surovells, later became Starfields, came over. A couple years later, my grandmother was born. My grandparents met, moved to Fairfax County, probably the only Jews in Fairfax in 1936. But in any event, they came down to Fairfax. And, the reason that they fled what was then Belarus, and they fled Russia and Poland, was because of the things that were going on in that country. And those things got worse and worse and worse. And we all know eventually where all that led. And my great uncle, Martin, he went back over, I don't know, probably I heard in the 1950s, to try to find some of our family members from Bialystok, where my grandmother's family was originally from, and they couldn't find anybody because they'd basically all been wiped out. And when you think about how all that happened, I've heard some people analogize what happened a couple weeks ago to Kristallnacht, which is the night of the broken glass, I think it was 39. And at the time, a lot of people didn't think it was a big deal when it was going on. There wasn't a lot of condemnation. It was sort of looked. I think a lot of people looked aside, got used to it. And so, for a lot of us, when we see people protect, when we see people defend, when we see people condone individuals who openly wear anti-Semitic slogans on their chest, people who openly advocate or laud what happened during World War II in Europe, it brings back memories of Kristallnacht and what happened back then. And it reminds at least some of us in this room that you cannot stand silent when those kinds of things happen. And when somebody applauds them, it carries a lot of meaning for a lot of people. Ashley Babbitt, I'm not going to say her name. It's sad that she got a bullet put in her. That woman was coming through a window, which right on the other side of it were multiple congressmen. They probably should have put 5 bullets in her. I mean, folks, what happened in that U.S. Capitol was disgusting. It was un-American. It was traitorous. And I still haven't heard a condemnation of it or the people who were inside. I still haven't heard a condemnation of the things they were wearing. And so, Mr. President, I would just say that, words do matter, and we need to be really careful about what we say in public, on social media, in the heat of the moment, in this chamber, everywhere. We are elected officials, and people out there look to us to lead them, and they look at us. The things we say validate and make them think the things they say are okay. And I would just think that everything that's been going on for the last 4 years has just reinforced that even more for me. And I really hope that as we work this out over the next couple months, we can all be a lot more careful about what we say.